Hey Poke people, RileyTheRad here. I'm about to go head over to the library for the free prints so I can print out some high quality proxies for Alolan Dugtrio. Me and the group are gonna meet up tomorrow night to just do some proxy testing, just test new stuff just before Ultra Prism comes out. I know we're all probably pretty hyped for the pre-releases next Saturday. It's gonna be crazy. I'm so excited. There's a million decks that I want to build. And this is one of the decks that I've been talking about a lot, but I haven't actually tried it. I've seen a couple of videos up recently on YouTube of people doing proxy tests with the Alolan Dugtrio. And it's actually been doing not terrible. I'll say that much. It either wins really fast or it loses really fast. Kind of reminds me of Nate's Minior deck. Anyway, gonna go do that real quick and I will see you guys in a little bit. Alright everybody, before we head out, I figured we could go over the Alolan Dugtrio list, so let's go ahead and take a peek at what we've got. I don't know why I put Staryu and Starmie first. They're obviously not the stars of the deck, but they're kind of the stars. Starmie has an ability called Space Beacon, lets you discard a card from your hand to get 2 energies from your discard, so you can just kind of keep recycling energies back into your hand to discard with Alolan Dugtrio. Talking a little bit more about why you want to do that with Alolan Dugtrio. The new Alolan Dugtrio has an attack called Gold Rush for 0 energy. Basically, discard as many metal energies from your hand as you want, and this attack does 30 damage times the number of energies discarded. So ideally what you want to do is stack your hand just full of energies with various resources and just continuously toss them out and then cycle them back into your hand and do lots of damage. And you're either gonna, like I already said this before, you're either gonna win the game really fast or you're gonna lose the game really fast. So that's just the way that we play around here, so we'll see how it goes. We've got 1 copy of Mr. Mime with Bench Barrier, just because these Pokemon are all incredibly frail. We want to be worried about attackers that can hit the bench. We don't really want that happening, so Mr. Mime is kind of a must in this deck, I think. 2 copies of Tapu Lele. I don't know why I don't just go ahead and do better proxies, especially since I went to the trouble of actually making decent proxies for Alolan Dugtrio, but not for Tapu Lele. I just didn't feel like getting them out of my other nicer sleeves. Everyone knows what Lele does at this point, so whatever. 4 copies of Choice Band, just because it basically counts as an energy. I may switch these up in the future to just be more energies and then maybe run Float Stones, like maybe 2 more metal energy and then maybe 2 escape boards. I'm not too sure. Escape board, if you're not aware, is kind of like the new Float Stone that's coming out. It's not quite as good as Float Stone in some cases, but in other cases it's better. It lets you retreat if you're paralyzed or asleep, which you normally can't do. But the thing is, it only reduces your retreat cost by 1. So it doesn't just give you free retreat, and you can retreat with those conditions. So if you've got Pokemon with 1 energy or 0 energy, it's obviously a lot better than Float Stone. But anyway. 4 copies of Professor's Letter just lets us get the energies out of the deck as quickly as possible early in the game. We want the energies in the discard pile so we can continuously cycle through them there. Not so much in the deck where they're harder to search out. Next we have 4 copies of Ultra Ball, pretty standard in almost any deck. Lets us discard energies. It's another way to get rid of them, so that's pretty cool. 3 copies of Rescue Stretcher, just because our opponents are going to be dropping Pokemon left and right. Like, our Digletts and Dugtrios are not going to be sticking around. Neither are our Staryus or Starmies, I imagine, so we just need to be able to reliably, continuously just get them back. 2 copies of Field Blower. We are like relatively ability reliant. We need Starmie's Space Beacon. I'm not too worried normally about Garbodor, just because it's not really being played that much anymore, except by Mike. And I think he's switching to Zoropod. So hopefully we won't have to deal with that. Next, 2 copies of Energy Retrieval. Lets us put 2 basic energy cards from the discard into our hand. You might be wondering why I'm running 4 copies of Professor's Letter into energy retrievals instead of vice versa, because like I said, we want to get the energy in the discard more than having it in the deck, but the reason why is because we have other methods of getting the energy out of the discard already. So what we really need in the early game, the way that the deck will probably struggle, is getting those energies out initially. So that's why I went heavier with the Professor's Letter instead of the energy retrieval. One copy of Timer Ball, I'm kind of playing around with it. I know it's luck based, I should probably run Evo Soda, but then there's that chance where I can get 2 evolution Pokemon and I just can't pass that up because I have a problem. So we'll see how that goes. I might end up switching that to Evo Soda, I might switch it to another metal energy, who knows, we'll see. 3 copies of Sycamore versus 3 copies of Cynthia, 2 copies of N. There's one change that I kind of anticipate maybe making to this list, just right out the gate, and that's maybe a Cynthia for a Sycamore, just because Sycamore lets you do all of that discarding. Like I said, we want to get rid of those energies as quick as possible. But at the same time, I'm really worried about constantly Sycamoring away other better resources. So I don't know, I'm kind of torn there. I've never really liked Sycamore. I like Sycamore, it's obviously an amazing card. It wouldn't get play if it wasn't. I always hate having to discard all of my beautiful resources if I draw a bad hand, whereas if I just draw Cynthia, I can just put them back into my deck. But anyway, we'll see how I feel about that balance later. 2 copies of Guzma. Toying with the idea of making that higher just so I can, whatever I have, all of those energies in my hand, I can call the shots and, pick my knockouts. But at this point, the deck list is just so tight that I just don't know what I would get rid of. 2 copies of Bridget. Like I said, Pokemon are going to be getting knocked out left and right, so we want to be able to kind of get out our lineup of basics reliably in the early game, and honestly, this is probably one deck where a late game Bridget might actually be a good thing. 3 copies of Mount Coronet. This is the new stadium that lets you cycle 2 metal energies from your discard into your hand. Both players can use this, but ideally, hopefully, I'll be the only one playing metal. Don't know how long that'll last, but we'll see. So this plus the Starmies, if I have both Starmies out and a Mount Coronet, that's 6 energies into my hand, which that's 180 damage alone, plus the Choice Band, that's 210. If I draw an energy, that's 240. Yeah, the damage gets, if you can set up properly, the damage gets pretty stupid really quick, but the problem with the deck that I foresee is just things are getting knocked out too quickly, too easily. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Last but not least, 10 copies of Metal Energy. I would really like to run more than that, but I just, like I said earlier, I just don't know what I would take out. I would ideally like to have, I think, maybe 12 copies, I'm not too sure. Here's Grummy, of course, because she crashes every party. So that's kind of, anyway, yeah, that's where my mind's at with this deck. We're going to go tonight, just goof around. I don't think we're doing a tournament, or if we are doing a tournament, maybe it'll just be like a goof-off proxy tournament. I know that a lot of us are bringing proxy decks, so we'll see how the Doug stacks up. So, see you guys over there.
Alright, so we're doing a tournament this Friday. It is going to be a proxy tournament, but since it is a tournament, we did have to buy in, and we got a base Sun and Moon. Let's open it up.
I am, but, so basically,
I don't know. Riley, what are we trying to get from Sun and Moon? What are we trying to get from Sun and Moon?
We're trying to get Solgaleos. I need one more.
Okay, we're trying to get Solgaleos.
But there's lots of good stuff in that set, so I'm happy to
1, 2, 3. Energy. I got a fairy energy.
Oh, yeah.
Alright. We got Team Skull Grunt.
So I signed up for a class. So
a Metapod. A Granbull.
But yeah, like,
a Fearow.
Yeah, I don't know.
A Grubbin. They see me grubbin. The haters. Spearow. Grimer. Look at that lipstick, y'all.
Yeah.
You see me
On point.
rain.
Rowlet, Picky Peck, and
Boo.
Palisand.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
All
okay.
right.
That'd be fantastic, yeah.
Out.
Hershey's for life.
Hershey's for life.
Hershey's for life. We got a Gengar. Oh, is that the energy one where it puts damage counters on stuff?
Yeah.
Ella's about to look at one of her packs.
For my students after Christmas.
Okay, let's get this in order. We got a fairy energy.
Yes.
Balloon.
I was
Sarah.
looking for my box yesterday.
Dumbbells.
I was looking at like
Dabbing Dunsko for life.
He is dabbing. I never noticed that before.
Dabbing.
Dabbing. Dab skull. Got a fungus.
That's why it's one of my favorite. One of my
So we
favorite
have about
Pokemon
20,
cards.
30.
Oh, it's such a cute Caterpie.
Oh, I see a spoiler.
Spoiler.
Just
Oh, yay, it's Lana.
nuke the Flareon deck.
Electrify.
I had like.
All right, Ella. Question of the day. How do you think the Prism Star cards are gonna change the meta next month?
There's a certain caveat where
Gonna make the meta cool.
This question's from Alex Edis. Or Edis?
Or either Alex Eds
no
or
way.
Alex
They
Edie.
shaved
Yeah.
Sorry if we don't even say the name wrong at all. It's just kind of hard to say. So for like
the whole 3 Gardevoir,
quadruple energy thingy
I'm like,
mabobber,
there's no way. No way.
I think it'd be kind of
This is
helpful
broken.
for Gardevoir, but as well I'll
Ban the
need
card.
like 3 other Gardevoirs. So I mean that's kind of like. Excuse me.
I'm keeping that in.
What?
I'm keeping that in.
Good.
I keep in Zach's.
So Galio, I'm also kind of excited about.
Yeah.
Because like is it every Pokemon you have you get
It's every Pokemon your opponent has in play.
you attach an energy from your hand? Wait.
Yeah, from your hand. Or no, from the discard pile. Yeah, so you use it kind of like late game after they're already there. Ah! So how do you think Prism Star cards are going to change the meta? You don't think they will?
Solgaleo, maybe.
Yeah.
All the other ones are really overhyped, I think.
Yeah. I honestly...
Honestly, I think they're pretty good.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it would like change. I think it'll change a bit, but not
Another thing,
really.
too.
Yeah.
The fact that you can only have one in your entire deck,
I don't know.
Yeah.
that really reels back their power.
You could do Lunala Prism Star in that Mega Mewtwo we were talking about.
Dude,
I think that's a no. What about you, Nate? What do you think?
I'm ready for Leafeon Mega Mewtwo. That's gonna be great.
Yeah.
There's not enough Prism Star cards I care about. Like
Yeah.
Solgaleo, and then what? I guess Lunala if I want to make it Leafeon Mega Mewtwo.
Yeah.
But I'm really feeling it that day. But other than that, it's like, yeah, Darkrai. What are you gonna do with Darkrai?
Yeah. That's about
I
it.
believe in Cyrus enough.
You do.
I believe in Cyrus enough that you could potentially do something.
So how many fist fights have you had with Zach over Cyrus Prism Star?
I don't think the card is bad. I think it was worse than
Original.
it used to be.
It used to be.
Yeah.
I think it would be decent in Glaceon, maybe.
What I'm saying is because if you're already running a water and steel deck, you might as well throw one in.
Yeah. That's
'Cause
true.
It can get something that's in the active. If they have 2 bench Pokemon, that's it, right? You Guzma something up, you get rid of it.
Yeah.
Make it less in the correct.
That's true.
So I think it could have applications, and I think the card is better than Zach says it is.
I didn't say it was bad.
Zach rebuttal? I'm joking.
Originally, I thought that you could use the card to dunk somebody,
Yeah.
which is
Crazy.
a dream for aggro decks like Lapras.
Yeah.
However, you can't do that. So, I don't know, use it in a stall deck.
Yep.
I'd probably use it in Glaceon.
Use it in Glaceon.
Raising Glaceon.
Hey Poke people, so I'm back home after the Friday fun day that we had with the proxy deck. It actually went really well, like better than I expected. I didn't know what to really think of Dugtrio. I honestly didn't really think that it would do very well, but it impressed me. I still don't think it's like tier 1 or anything, but it's a little bit better of a rogue deck than I would have expected. So round 1, I went against the big wishy-washy mill stall list that did well at, I think it was, I can't remember if that was European International Championships or if that was Memphis. It was kind of like a variant of the list, but that deck is clearly pretty decent. It struggled against Alolan Dugtrio though, just because it's big on discarding energies to stall your opponent, but I don't really need any energies, and the big weakness of Alolan Dugtrio is the 60 HP, but the Wishy-Washy deck doesn't really deal damage. So it was kind of the worst possible matchup for Wishy-Washy, so I took that round 2-0. Next round I played against Buzzwole actually, which is a pretty solid deck at the moment. It was Buzzwole, Lycanroc, and I managed to squeeze out a win. It was pretty close. I think I won the first match. It was Mike who was playing Buzzwole. Mike picked up the second game, and then I managed to barely pull out a win for the third game, so I was feeling pretty good. Final round was against Nate, and Nate was playing the new Rotom Box deck, and kind of similar to the first round, but like the exact reverse. It's a horrible matchup for Alolan Dugtrio. Reason why is because what Rotom wants to do is, obviously, as quick as possible, it needs to get the 9 tool cards into the discard so that it can attack for free. So one of the best ways to kind of do that to help stall those few turns out is to use Bursting Balloon on the active Pokemon. The problem with Bursting Balloon is it deals 60 damage to any Pokemon that attacks into it. Guess how much HP Alolan Dugtrio has? It's 60. So, and either way, the tool is going into the discard. So really, either way, I'm kind of helping the Rotom player. In that case, it was Nate. So that wasn't good. Once Rotom was able to get going, it was also tricky because one of the issues that Rotom has is that, well, Rotom is good because not good, but Rotom is fun because Rotom can attack for free once it gets all of the tool cards in the discard, but the problem is the damage is still not quite there. Like, the most it can really do is 120, 150 with the Choice Band against an EX or GX. While that's not that impressive, against an Alolan Dugtrio with 60 HP, literally almost any of the Rotoms can get a one-hit knockout for no energy, so it was pretty rough. Also, the Rotom that has kind of the big attack is the basic Rotom, the Lightning Rotom. It deals 120 damage and then it can't attack the next turn, but it was able to switch out. I think Nate played Silvally or something, or Silvally, to give it free retreat. I forget what he did. Maybe it has free retreat normally, I can't remember. I think it's one retreat though. But anyway, that Rotom actually has metal resistance, and so that was an extra item that I would have to play. So it was kind of rough. He ended up pulling out the win, which was super disappointing because I was so hyped after getting that far with the Alolan Dugtrio, but we'll see. I'm definitely going to build it in the future, play a little bit more around with it on the channel, so look forward to that once Ultra Prism officially releases. Probably won't put the proxy deck together until then. I'll probably just put it together once I get the actual cards. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. I hope you guys really enjoyed this kind of ridiculous tournament, and I'll talk to you soon. Alright, bye-bye.